drug bust connected to Washington Square Park.
Federal prosecutors have filed charges against 19 people, accusing them of running an open-air drug market.
At 5 a.m., Houston woke up not to thunder, but to a ramming assault. What looked like a quiet biotech center turned out to be a death factory, an underground fentanyl super lab capable of pumping out thousands of doses every hour. Agents say one thing: they've never dismantled cartel infrastructure of this scale before. Don't blink, it only gets worse from here. The lab sat on the outskirts of Houston, in a Texas corridor of industrial warehouses where non-stop truck traffic hides any shadow supply chain. That's exactly why the cartels chose it. The perfect midpoint between the Mexican route and America's internal distribution hubs. The complex consisted of 3 buildings disguised as a biotech cluster. Inside, chemicals, precursors, weapons, fake contracts, and production formulas masked as research. Estimates place the value of this underground facility at $340 million, making it one of the largest fentanyl nodes ever found on U.S. soil. Staff had instructions to burn everything within 90 seconds in case of a raid. And agents say this wasn't just a lab. It was the gravitational center of the entire southern pipeline.
The investigation began quietly, with an anonymous report about suspicious night activity around a research center supposedly conducting environmental projects for a local university. But HSI attachés noticed something else: imported equipment that made no sense for a biotech lab, and recurring shipments of chemicals from Venezuela and Panama disguised as soil analysis solutions. That was the first trigger. FBI, DEA, and HSI formed a joint task group and dug deeper. Wiretaps, hidden cameras, surveillance of trucks arriving at 3-4 a.m., and tracking corporate financial flows. The first results were shocking. The company running the center was just one of dozens of fake educational and eco-initiative facilities that had suddenly appeared across Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona over the past 3 years. But the key discovery was different. All of them were tied to Venezuelan cartels, which have been aggressively expanding their presence in America's southern states. These groups, long known for brutality and technological sophistication, had shifted strategies. They no longer transported finished product across the border. They were building their own production plants inside the United States. Manufacturing, logistics, money laundering, all of it on U.S. soil, disguised as research hubs and environmental programs. The scheme was precise and polished. Shell companies registered as scientific institutes, obtained grants, hired a few fake consultants to create credibility, and then launched full-scale production. Components were imported through a web of front companies in Guatemala, Peru, and the Caribbean. Payments moved through cryptocurrency wallets that bounced funds across 3 continents before returning to Venezuela as research financing. During the investigation, agents uncovered a complex logistics pipeline. Chemists trained in quasi-military camps in Venezuela's Zulia state entered the U.S. posing as student interns. Equipment was delivered through university channels to avoid strict customs checks, and operational supervisors lived in cheap Airbnbs on Houston's outskirts, changing locations and documents every 2 weeks. The operation reached its peak when FBI analysts decrypted a set of closed chat logs where Venezuelan cartel leaders discussed opening 2 more such centers, one in San Antonio, the other in Phoenix. That was the final straw. The order was issued: shut it down. The team received the green light for the raid. Once the tactical units entered the site, all doubts disappeared. The cameras, reactors, hydraulic presses, and even the facility liquidation manuals made it clear. These weren't amateurs renting a building. They were constructing a state within a state,
a production network that could have run for years while the city noticed nothing. Agents say this is only the beginning. Venezuelan cartels no longer see the United States as a market. They see it as territory, a place to build an industry. And today's raid is only the first breach in their shadow infrastructure.
When the Joint Task Force investigators finally pieced together the full map of the operation, the truth became clear. The Venezuelan cartels were only one part of the structure. The real backbone of the network was the person no one would have suspected: a high-ranking state official, a man who had spent years appearing on television with speeches about community safety, turned out to be the internal architect of the entire infrastructure. He didn't just look the other way. He built the bridge between organized crime and state resources. And through him, more than $600 million flowed through fake grants, municipal projects, and environmental programs that were, in reality, pumps funneling money directly into Venezuelan cartel hands. The primary scheme looked like this. The cartels supplied precursors and cash. The research centers mixed, pressed, and processed the product. And the official ensured that no one asked questions about what was happening inside those buildings. He controlled inspectors, approved permits for importing laboratory equipment, influenced municipal contracts, and even rerouted infrastructure budgets to cover expenses that made no sense on paper. Investigators found that the system was multi-layered. At the entry point, an ocean of chemicals arriving in the U.S. disguised as scientific reagents. Venezuelan logistical coordinators used warehouse hubs in Laredo, Brownsville, and El Paso. From there, components moved deeper into the country through private trucking firms controlled by the official via his curators, trusted associates recruited from former military units. Inside the labs worked interns, undocumented migrants trafficked through Central America, promised jobs in agricultural companies. Instead, they ended up locked in hangars where mixing chambers ran non-stop. Some were held by force, others by debt. The cartels used human lives as coldly and mechanically as their chemical reactors. The finished product, pills, powders, concentrates, moved through territorial cells of the network. Houston was the manufacturing hub. Dallas, logistics. San Antonio, distribution. And the official provided the shield. He controlled local tenders, reassigned land for technology parks, and even created an innovation hub program that served as a cover for 3 underground labs. The money moved just as strategically. Controlling municipal contracts, he created more than 40 shell companies, construction firms, environmental initiatives, digital startups. They received multi-million-dollar grants, performed work no one ever saw, and converted funds into cryptocurrency. From there, through anonymous wallets and offshore networks in Malta and Panama, the money returned to the cartels as consulting payments. The scheme was so sophisticated, it looked flawless for years. Drugs were produced on an industrial scale. Weapons came from Texas's black market. Undocumented workers were kept in stash sites, pushed to exhaustion. And through the same corridor, people were trafficked. Those the cartels sold into forced labor or used as disposable assets. The official collected his share through company equity, real estate, and crypto portfolios growing faster than the state's budget. The most dangerous part wasn't the production, or even the money. It was the massive hidden corridor. Venezuela, Central America, Texas, into the U.S. interior. Every link was wrapped in corruption, forged documents, tech smuggling, and hundreds of microstructures rotating monthly. Agents say, if the system had survived just one more year, it would have become uncontrollable. This wasn't a cartel anymore. It was a parallel economy of death, wired directly into the machinery of the state. When the scale of corruption became undeniable, agents realized they weren't just raiding a lab,
They were breaking a system where every second official could be an enemy. Intelligence identified more than 90 individuals tied to Venezuelan cartels. Police officers, port workers, logistics dispatchers, firefighters, safety inspectors. They weren't simply helping, they were following orders. The cartel hadn't infiltrated the system, it was running it. Preparation for the operation took weeks. FBI, DEA, and HSI held briefings in sealed hangars where phones were left outside. Every step was planned as if it were military reconnaissance, forming clearing teams, isolating local departments, creating parallel communication channels to avoid leaks. All maps, routes, entry points, and risks were placed onto a specialized assault matrix, a digital model of the facility built from drone and thermal imaging data. The decision to strike today came after intercepting a key message from a Venezuelan coordinator. Delivery at 5:40. If any of yours leave early, fire. That meant two things. A new batch of precursors was already en route, and the main operators were preparing to move. The window for action was just a few hours. Any delay, and the entire scheme would either collapse or shift to another city. The operation was given a quiet name, Break Line, because this time, the target wasn't just a cartel, it was the entire vertical structure that had protected it for years. This morning is already being called the largest law enforcement operation in modern Texas history. More than 4,000 federal agents moved simultaneously on over 20 locations: laboratories, ports, warehouse hubs, office buildings, research centers, even the private homes of coordinators. The strike was so precise and so massive that 4 cartel cells collapsed within an hour. The results are both staggering and horrifying. Over 6.4 tons of precursors and finished fentanyl powder were seized. Experts say that was enough to produce more than 320 million potentially lethal doses, more than the entire population of the United States. Containers held high-precision pill pressing lines capable of manufacturing up to 70,000 tablets per hour. From the weapons cache, an arsenal fit for a small battalion. 92 automatic rifles, dozens of handguns, suppressors, military-grade optics, more than 40 grenades, and boxes of armor plates. Most serial numbers had been filed off. Some of the guns trace back to thefts from National Guard depots. Cash, more than $18 million, found in safes, ceilings, even inside ventilation shafts. Separate from that were crypto wallets with balances exceeding $42 million, linked to offshore research foundations. Nearby, hundreds of forged passports, driver's licenses, and visa packets. But the biggest prize was the tech. Agents removed 14 rack servers, dozens of laptops, encryption terminals, radios with military transmission protocols, and SIM-less phones communicating over encrypted P2P networks. According to cyber specialists, this was the digital heart of the cartel. And the most difficult part, the people. 83 trafficked workers were freed, individuals held under lock and used as technical labor inside the labs. Couriers, financiers, coordinators, and 2 key overseers of the network were taken into custody. This morning didn't just clear territory. It exposed the full scale of a death industry that had been hiding in Texas for years. By evening, the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. The official who had run the Shadow Empire for years was found 40 miles from the border. His attempt to break toward Mexico ended in a highway blockade. In the estate where he kept his official archives, agents discovered forged passports, $480,000 in cash, encryption terminals, and files directly linking him to the Venezuelan cartel. Before they cuffed him, he whispered, "You have no idea how late you figured this out." Agents say this scheme was more dangerous than anything they had seen before. Not because it produced tons of fentanyl. They've taken down dozens of labs like that. No, the danger was different. It had grown into the state system itself, using police officers, inspectors, logistics workers, and officials as pieces of its machinery. It was a parasite that learned to imitate government authority. And that's why it survived for so long. Its collapse wasn't a coincidence. It took a fusion of financial analytics, cyber intelligence, intercepted communications, and undercover agents who spent months acting as if they were part of the cartel themselves. One DEA commander said, "We didn't just hit the chain, we severed the spine." Another added, "No structure, even one this rotten and widespread, can survive when the light hits it from all sides at once." Compared to previous operations, this wasn't a raid. It was the surgical removal of a systemic tumor. And today, Texas finally saw that the darkness living next door was far closer than anyone imagined. The real threat isn't outside, it's inside. This case proved one thing: the most dangerous enemies are those who hide behind reforms, laws, and government offices. Venezuelan cartels no longer merely import narcotics. They build parallel systems of governance inside the United States. And today, Texas saw how deep that shadow runs. The network is broken, but the war is only beginning.